Hi, I'm Dan. Welcome to Airbrush Garage. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today, I'm going to be doing a video on a question that I got from a subscriber, Thomas Placid. And he asked me, hey, Dan, what kind of airbrushes do you buy? So I'm going to be taking a look at the 7 different airbrushes, just briefly about the airbrushes that I have here in my garage and why I bought them. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around, hit that bell, subscribe. Couple comments, good or bad. You know how it really helps out the channel. We're growing, and I really appreciate all you guys out there. Check out those affiliate links down below. That also helps. And with that, let's get started. All right, as you'll be able to see in a minute, I'm a big Iwata fan. My very first airbrush that I ever bought, and I don't have right now, was a Pache VL siphon-fed gun. And that's what I learned on. I traded that gun with somebody for a Badger airbrush because I wanted to go to a gravity-fed airbrush. But not shortly after that, I bought my first Iwata, and it was an Iwata Eclipse HPCS. And I still have that brush to this day. I did rebuild it once. I probably really didn't have to, but I was having a little problems with the brush, and I just decided after 20 years, it was time to rebuild it. I do have a video on how to rebuild an airbrush. I'll pop a link for that up above. But I still use it today. On almost every project I do, I would probably use this brush. It is my go-to airbrush. Probably you've heard this before if you watched any other videos. They always say it's the workhorse of the airbrush toolbox, and I believe they got that right. So I have an Eclipse. I have an HPC Plus. Now, the other thing you're going to see is most of my airbrushes I like are going to be between a 0.3 and a 0.35 needle nozzle combination. That's kind of like where I like to be. I can get really good fine detail with a brush like that, and then I could also get the other broader results that I'm looking for too. So I'm just used to using brushes like that, and I can get very fine detail. I don't own any microns. It was always a little bit felt out of my league as far as price-wise goes, and I'm really happy with the results that I get from these particular brushes. So if a micron is something that, I'm sure it's an excellent airbrush because I think all of the other Iwata products are also excellent. So I can only imagine what a $500 airbrush, feels like or can do. But again, I am very happy with the results that I can achieve with these 0.3s and 0.35 airbrushes. So this particular airbrush, this HPC, is basically the same thing as this Iwata HPCH, which is exactly the same airbrush, except for it has the MAC valve. Okay. The other feature that a lot of brushes now have that the Eclipse did not is the trigger stop back here. On the Paches and stuff, they used to have a little dial right up here to be able to stop the trigger. Again, I don't use that just because of the fact I would rather be able to control everything with my finger control. I don't want to learn, and I don't recommend anybody learn, using something like that. Just because of the fact you're never going to get good with your finger if you're going to rely on this stop. It's a nice feature to have, I guess, for some people. I personally don't use it. So it's not that important to me, but it's on most of all your newer airbrushes. So again, both these airbrushes have a 0.3 needle nozzle combination. And then I got the very inexpensive Neo. It says for Iwata, and I've gotten some comments that it's really not an Iwata, it's for Iwata. It has the Iwata name on it, so I consider it an Iwata. Okay, but this is an awesome little brush for $60. You just really can't beat it. I love this brush. Nothing fancy about it. It doesn't have the cutaway. Okay, it doesn't have the stop, but it sprays like a dream. I absolutely love this brush for 60 bucks. If you're getting started, I highly recommend that if you're on a budget, this is where you start, and then work your way up from there. Don't go out and buy the real cheap, even though this is cheap. When I mean the cheap airbrushes, I don't want to mention any names, but if you do your research a little bit, or just go search Amazon, you'll know what I'm talking about. don't start with those, $20, $30 airbrushes. This should be your starting point right here. And if you can afford the Iwata Eclipse, I would go for that. Oh, and I do want to mention again that that is a 0.35 needle nozzle combination. So what I didn't have as part of my arsenal was something that gave me even finer detail if I so choose to have it. I don't have a micron, as I mentioned. So what I did is I went out and I got an Infinity CR Plus by Hutter and Steenbeck. This is a German company versus the Iwata is a Japanese company, but I consider this an Iwata, and I'll tell you why. Because Iwata bought Hutter and Steenbeck. And when I found that out, I was eyeing this airbrush for a while, but I'm really kind of loyal, or at least I was at one point, to Iwata. And when I found out that Iwata had purchased this company, that's when I went out and bought it. But what's really cool about this airbrush is it sports a 0.18 needle nozzle combination. So when I do want to really hone in and get some really, really fine detail, even though I could use my other brushes to do so, I really did like this airbrush. I got it. It sprays really, really well. Highly recommend that airbrush. It is a great alternative to, the higher priced models at that needle nozzle combination. The newest airbrush that I have on my line, and I just did a review on this, and I'll pop a link up above if you'd like to see this, is the Eclipse Takami. It is a side feed airbrush. And what's cool about it is you can take off this particular cup, and there's cups that you can screw on to it, just like your Neo over there will fit onto this. Neo also comes with a bigger cup that will fit onto here. So that's what's really cool. I actually like to use this cup with this brush. It kind of like, the bigger one to me is a little bulky because I don't usually put that much paint in. So that's a really cool feature that you can switch out the cups on that particular brush. So that's my newest brush to my line. Just got that one just recently and absolutely love that brush. So I do have one airbrush that isn't an Iwata, and it is a PS290 by Krios. And the reason why I have this brush is because it has a 0.5 needle nozzle combination, and I didn't have any 0.5s in my arsenal here of airbrushes. So I wanted something that would be able to give me, nice broad sprays, and for the price, this was a very good option. Iwata does have a gun like this, but it's about double the cost. And I'm sure the Iwata one has great quality, and if that's something you would choose to want to go with, and I'll probably get one someday myself too. But for the price, I felt this was a really good option after doing the research on it, and I've used it. I have it in some of my videos, and it does just fine. All right, there you have it. Thomas, thank you for your question. Hopefully you found this video helpful. So that's the arsenal that I have here in the Airbrush Garage, and I'm not done yet. I'm just probably going to keep buying airbrushes. And just like I said on the Takami review video, when your wife or your husband asks you how many more airbrushes do you need, you say, just one more. So with that, hope you liked this video. If you did, consider subscribing. You guys know the drill. Thumbs up, a couple comments, click those links. We'll see you in the next video.